something positive. Pay no mind to the infidels. I got a few things that I want to say. So disagreeable. You love me now, I love you now. I love the sun, you love the moon. Living most so disagreeable.
Hello, and welcome to As It Is Written. My name is Yaakov Ben Israel, and I'm the elder priest of the Culture Center of the New Covenant Congregation of Israel. We're located at 3901A Covington Highway in Decatur, Georgia. You know, there are a lot of things in the news today that is really pertaining to our people, but when you know when you know who you are, and you read these things and go back and read prophecies, you'll find out that we're living in some very, very exciting times. It's almost time for our deliverance, and the things that are happening in the news is bringing all of the prophets alive, especially when you get back and read the book of Daniel and some of the smaller prophets in the Old Testament, because Yahweh said, I don't do anything till I tell my servants, the prophets first. And the problem is, we don't get these things when we go to these churches on the first day of the week. It seems as if the churches is putting the wool over our eyes. Christ told us to watch, and nobody knows what to watch for. Nobody knows what time it is, but what I like to do is I like to read some things to you out of the prophet Daniel and show you some things that Daniel said was going to take place upon the earth. But these are some things, like I said, that we don't get in the church simply because the people in the church work for the adversary, the devil. You have to understand who we learn all of the things that we learn in these Christian and Muslim Islamic religions from. We learn them from people that has had us in captivity at one time or another. And what they managed to do is take this book they call the Holy Bible, which is a history book, and man has managed to teach us religion out of a history book to keep us blinded and domesticated, to keep us from finding out who we are. But when you get in the book of Daniel, and in the 7th chapter of Daniel talked about the 4 empires that came up on the earth, and each one of these empires began to destroy our people. Daniel told you that he understood from the prophet Jeremiah that 70 years was going to be accomplished at Iraq when the people of Iraq came in to our land in 606 B.C., and carried away a lot of our people captive out of the land. And then after that, you had the Medo-Persian Empire, the Russians and the Iranians. They came in and they decimated our people. Then the Greeks came in with Alexander the Great, and then the final empire was the Roman Empire. And when you get back and use the book as a history book and check what they got, what these people have written in the public library, you can very well see that what man has been doing is fulfilling exactly what Yahweh said was going to happen upon this earth. See, man thinks he's doing these things, but Yahweh has his hooks in man's jaws and making man do the things that he wants done to fulfill his word to our fathers, the prophets. And like I said, when you know who you are, there's a lot of information out here about you, and then you'll be able to understand why so many things has happened to our people, and we never can try to come together in unity to do anything unless it's a bunch of mischief like that civil rights movement was. But let me read something to you out of the prophet Daniel here and kind of set this thing up for what I want to talk about tonight. And like I said, if you don't want to talk about what I want to talk about, call in. We talk about what you want to talk about. As long as you got something you want to talk about instead of a bunch of junk. I'm going to go to Daniel chapter 7. And now Daniel had seen, Yahweh had showed Daniel the 4 empires that was going to come up on the earth. Now, we already had all 4 empires that came up on the earth, but Rome fell in 476 AD, and they divided up the whole earth among everybody, all the nations on the earth except us. We still have not got a piece of the pie. But let me read something to you that Daniel had to say. Now, Daniel had lived in 3 of these empires, and and he told him about the 4th empire. And Daniel, this is the empire that Daniel was interested in, because it's in this empire that the Messiah was going to return. I'm going to start this at Daniel chapter 7, and I'm going to start this at verse 13. It says, I saw in the night vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came unto the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given unto him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. I, Daniel, was grieved in the midst of my spirit, in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. And I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, and made me know the interpretation of the thing. These great beasts, which are 4 kingdoms which shall arise out of the earth. But listen to this now. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. So it was the kingdom on earth where these 4 empires came up out of that the saints was going to take and possess. Verse 19. Then I would know the truth of the 4th beast, which was different from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were as iron and his nails as brass, which devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn which has eyes and a mouth that spoke very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. So what he's telling us about is the 10 kings, after Rome fell in 476 AD, if you check history, just like Daniel said, there would be 10 kings that was going to come up and try to revive the Holy Roman Empire. Adolf Hitler was the 9th king. So the 10th one is on the scene today, and when you get in Revelation 13 and look and see what's going on over in Europe, they're setting up the EU, which is the revived Holy Roman Empire, but the problem is America. America is not going to give up her power to anybody. That's why Yahweh is going to have Russia to destroy America in 1 hour and 1 day. And all this is prophesied in the Bible. Verse 21. I beheld the same man made war with the saints and prevailed against them until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Thus he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon the earth, which shall be different from all other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be different from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until 3½ years, which is the great tribulation period. Now, we can look at what the Christians did. The Romans changed the beginning of the year from April to January. Then they turn around and change the Sabbath day from Saturday to Sunday. Then they substituted all of Yahweh's holy days that he told our people you're going to do forever and to teach it to the people around you. They changed those and gave us holidays. And when you go back and look at all of the days that the church keep it, their whole sacred days, you'll find out one thing, that all of those days are steeped deeply in paganism. It all has to do with sun worship. This is why they worship on Sunday. In the Bible, it was called the first day of the week, but they changed the first day of the week to Monday. But when you look on the calendar, Sunday is still the first day of the week, and the New Testament told you that the Messiah was resurrected on the first day of the week, and they called that Easter Sunday. So they changed Yahweh's Sabbath, where they just refused to keep it. And they set up Sunday and all this other pagan junk that we just did, like this Halloween mess that we just went through. All Hallows Eve. It has to do with witchcraft, paganism, and devil worship. But see, we allow our children to do these things, but we don't get back and do the research and find out that these things all have to do with things that the adversary, the devil, has set up among men. Verse 26. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it unto the end, and the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given unto the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Now, folks tell me, say that's a lie. See, we got sweet Jesus, and we going up to heaven to be with him. Well, if you check Revelation 7 and Revelation 14, you're going to find out that the only people that's going to believe with the Messiah when he comes is that 144,000 that was selected from the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. In the Bible, back this step up. That junk, they talk about the rapture, all that mess came about in the 1600s with the Midianites, you see. But our problem is we don't do the research. We go to church, let the preacher read 2 verses, and then talk 45 minutes and convince us one thing when the scripture tell you, say, study to show yourself approved. So as we see, according to the prophet Daniel, the kingdom is going to be set up, is going to be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. But it's a lot of things that's going to take place during that time. Now I'm going to go into chapter 8 of Daniel, and I'm going to read chapter 8 and verse 23 through verse 25. It says, and in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to a full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. In other words, you're going to have the power of Lucifer. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and he shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. Well, look at our people. We haven't got a land. We can't name one king that rule over us. Only thing that we know, the only thing we can say is we are African Americans, but we can't go back and set down any roots in Africa. Verse 25. And through his policy, he also shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. So this last king, which is the last pope, is going to be on the earth once the Messiah returns back to this earth. Now, in order to understand these things, I'm going to go in the book of Luke and read some things out of Luke that the Messiah had to say was going to happen to his people. And you just look and see the things that has happened to us, and you can find out that these things has only happened to us. The things that Yahweh said was going to happen to his holy people has only happened to this so-called renamed Negro here in this country. This is in St. Luke chapter 21, and I'm going to pick this up now. Now, the disciples wanted to know when was the temple in Jerusalem going to be torn down, and when we were going to go through our problems and what kind of problems we was going to have before the Messiah returned. So let me read something to you, what the Messiah had to say to the 12 apostles. This is in St. Luke 21, and I'm going to pick this up at verse 8. It says, And he said, take heed that you be not deceived. For many shall come in my name, saying that I am the Messiah, and the time draweth near. Go you not therefore after them. Well, let's look at that. We got Christian folks all over the world talking about their Jesus, their Jesus. And the brother's name wasn't even Jesus. When you look up the word Jesus, it don't even have any meaning. The brother's name was Yahshua. And once they put us in captivity, and I remember Paul had went all up in Europe and tried to teach those Gentiles the word of God. And then what happened was, if you read the history now, Emperor Nero killed Peter, he killed Paul, he exiled John the Revelator to the Isle of Patmos, and in 70 AD, General Titus came in Jerusalem and destroyed our people. And according to the historian Josephus, what happened was the last remnant of our people, he sold to the Ethiopians to work in the salt mines, and that's how we got down in Africa. And the Africans were the ones that sold us to the British, Spanish, Portuguese, and Dutch for slaves over here in the Americas. Verse 9. But when you shall hear wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must come first to pass, but the end is not yet by and by. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. Now, they had World War I, they had World War II, they've had the Korean conflict, the Vietnam conflict, and now we over there in the now America's over there in the Middle East trying to destroy the Muslims who are the Antichrist to try to set democracy in the Middle East. And then people ain't going for it because they know that democracy is the footstool of Christianity. That's why everywhere they went, that's the first thing they talked about, democracy, democracy. And the next thing you know, the people that was in those lands, these Christians had took over. They call them the Bloody Crusades. You might want to go back and read about that. And them same Christians were the one that came over here and took this country from the Indians and then went and got them some slaves. And we still here as captives. But we don't think so because we went through that debacle that they call the civil rights movement. But now we're worse off financially and spiritually. We're worse off now than we've ever been in all of our life. Now, we don't know who we are. We don't know where we came from. We don't know anything about our history. And if you don't know it, you have a tendency to repeat it. But let me go ahead and read this here to what Messiah had to say and see what you get out of this. But before, it says, but before all these things, they shall lay hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. And they shall turn to you for a witness. Verse 20. And when you shall see Jerusalem compassed about with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is near. Well, this happened when General Titus came into Jerusalem in 70 AD. Then let them which be in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart not out, and let them that are in the countries enter not thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things that are written may be fulfilled. Well, it had to start out with the curses being put on our people that's written in Deuteronomy 28 chapter. It had to start out with that, with those curses, but the curses are concerned scattering to all the nations upon the earth as captives. Verse 23, but woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress upon the land, and wrath upon this people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captives unto all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down by the Euro-Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Well, look in Israel today. The Gentiles are the one that really control Israel because they control the Israelis. They got the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. They got the Church of St. Catherine. They got many, many pagan churches set up in Yahweh's holy land. And this is something that Yahweh wanted all of our kings not to do, was not to set up any pagan religions. Understand one thing. Christ was a Jew. Understand that. He was a black Hebrew Israelite. And the Bible proves it if you go in there and read the whole story. But see, we don't want to be no different. See, we've integrated. We've been educated. Now we want to be just like Master. And guess what? We are. Master worships Satan every first day of the week, and I can prove it in this book here. Master worships Satan every first day of the week, and we go right in there and worship Satan also. And all the denominations we practice, if you look down into the bottom of it, white folks started them all. Let me finish this up. It says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. We getting off into this global warming thing that they're getting up into now. So Yahweh is moving along, and he told you what to watch for, and we are not watching for it. See, we out here in these clubs and everything, and these churches that the Bible call whorehouses, we out here playing games. Men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming up on the earth, for the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Now, we think Katrina was something. You get back in Revelations 8 and Revelation 16 and see the wrath that Yahweh is getting ready to pour upon this earth. And then they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption is near. Behold the fig tree and all the trees. When they now shoot forth, you see and know of yourself that summer is near at hand. So likewise you, when you shall see these things come to pass, know that the kingdom of Elohim is nigh at hand. Yes, I say unto you, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. Not just some of the things that Yahweh said in the covenants, but all of the things that Yahweh told the holy prophets about setting up his kingdom. Now, it told us that we were going to be led away captives to these countries, and that we was going to be hated of all nations for his name's sake. Well, let's go back and look at some things that happened right in our time here, and see what we can get up out of that. Now, we know that since the year 2000, the Republican and the Democratic Party has hung Cynthia McKinney out to dry. They have lynched that sister politically simply because of this sister keep closed up in her house all the time because of fear of her life. You know why? She's challenged some things that took place. The information was that the United States government knew about 9/11 before it happened. See? And she tried to bring forth this information, and because it was against the Republican regime that's in office now, they began to slowly blacklist this sister. Even got that girl Denise Majette to run against her, trying to get Cynthia out of office because Cynthia is a go-getter. Cynthia going to let you know what's going on, whether you like it or not, and black folks don't like it, and white folks don't like it, see, because Cynthia's stirring up something, and we want peace. And what you do is look and see how once she talked. Now, the main thing another thing she started getting off into is what happened down in Florida with them throwing all those black votes away. Well, it didn't just happen in Florida. It happened in several other states, but they talked about Florida simply because George Bush's brother is the governor of Florida. So they talked about that mostly. And even nowadays, what they're doing is in our neighborhoods, instead of having up enough voting machines, they don't have them. In the last election, they began to take them out the place. Half of them didn't work and so forth. That's so you couldn't cast your vote. See? That's so they couldn't cast your vote. And then they passed that Patriot Act. And when you read the Patriot Act, you're going to find out that Patriot Act is nothing but an attack on the Constitution of the United States. What they're trying to do is make sure that your vote don't mean nothing. But see, Yahweh told us, don't elect nobody else to set nobody else over us that's not of our nation. And I'm quite sure we don't vote for no black candidates for president. What we do is we vote for whatever Gentile that's in there that we think is better than the last one. Well, if one party is better than the other party, why are we why are we worse off now than we were before the Civil Rights Movement, before we was able to vote? We had more, but we want to get off into the system of things, and Yahweh told us that, look, I'm going to put you in captivity under a cruel Lord, but don't you learn his ways. These same people over here that brought us over as slaves is the same people that put up them imposters over there in our land of Israel and say that they're the Jews. But according to the Old Testament, all the Jews were black. Wasn't no white Jews. As a matter of fact, when back in 1981, when they had that Operation Exodus and Secret Exodus, when they airlifted all those black Hebrews out of Ethiopia into Israel, even those people say we didn't even know there was no white Jews, where there never been any white Jews. Okay, but the thing of it is that all of these things is coming upon us because we've been miseducated in church and by the governmental system. Well, let's understand why that's going on. It's simply because the same Christians that run the government is the one that set up the school curriculums. So what did we think we was going to get except a second-handed education? And another thing you might want to pay attention to, I don't know what you people are watching for, but another thing you might want to pay attention to. A few years ago, there's a fella here in Georgia named David Dukes that came in and took over the Ku Klux Klan because the government had almost decimated the Klan, because that Klan was a bunch of thugs. But now, who the Klan is today is the people we call skinheads. I'm not talking about that little 1% rather that you see out in the street that's walking around with all their hair cut off, because now most of the skinheads are in the cooperative structure running companies in the cooperative structure. And what they've done was went in there and got all those middle-class white kids, and they're teaching them how to hatred. They're teaching them how to use arms and so forth, because what they want is they want to be separated. They even have a church that's called the United Separatist Church. And they said people should have their own land and their own areas to live in. Well, they ain't going to give us no land to live in this country here. They ain't going to give us no land to say, but this is our land. What we going to do? Get in there and as diversified as we are, we kill off each other, wondering who's going to rule. You see, so we have to be careful of that separation thing, and we have to understand who it is that's in political offices now that's dictating all of the policies and so forth that's coming down the wire. But see, Yahweh has already told us the thing that's going to take place, and it's totally contrary to what's being taught in the churches today. Everybody talking about going off to heaven and all that other stuff. But let me read something to you out of the prophet Isaiah, that the prophet Isaiah said was going to take place. Incidentally, the number here is 44892-5614. If you want to call in and join in, if you've got something that you want to get out of your cross, the phone number here is 44892-5614. But let me read something to you out of the prophet Isaiah. This is Isaiah 14. And this is, now everybody talking about going off to heaven and being with the Lord forever. But let me read this here and see if that's true or not. This is Isaiah chapter 14. It says, "For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with Israel. And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors." That's what people are afraid of, is that us getting put back, the Messiah returning and gathering his people from the four corners of the earth and putting them back in captivity, putting them back in their own land, and then all of the nations going into captivity on us. It's only fair. What goes around, comes around. In 606 BC, the Arabs had us captive. In 539, the Russians and the Iranians had us captive. Then in 333, here comes Alexander the Great. And then in 62, here come the Romans. And we've been in captivity under all of these European Gentiles and Arabs ever since 606 BC. And Yahweh said, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. And as a people, collectively, we haven't been at war with anybody but ourselves ever since we've been over here in this country. But Yahweh say what he's going to do is he's going to take up this burden for us and bring us back to our own land. Once again, our phone number here is 448925614. Now, what you can do now, we talked in the book of Daniel about the beast with the 7 heads and 10 horns. Now, what you can do is you can get back in the book of Revelation. Now, remember, the angel Gabriel told Daniel that these were kings that was going, these horns were kings that was going to rise. And if you know, if you read the Bible and compare with your encyclopedias as far as world history is concerned, you can pick out every one of those kings yourself. The only thing somebody got to do is set you on the track of research. This is why the scripture said, study to show yourself approved. And that's something that people don't do, is study to show themselves approved. Now, we hear all these folks walking around. Now, remember, Christ had just said, now, take heed that no man is going to deceive you, because many is going to come in his name, saying that he is the Messiah and shall deceive many. Well, when we talk about judgment, judgment speaks of law. How can you have a judgment without law? People tell me, say, Yahweh haven't gotten the law. We don't have to do nothing he say, but yet and still, they set up signs out there on the streets that says 35 miles an hour, 55 miles an hour. They got laws that govern everything. But they're going to tell me that they're greater than the creator of all things, that the creator of all things didn't know what he was talking about. And he hasn't got any law. Well, he has got law. Let me read something to you. Now, I'm going to show you why you're receiving these false doctrines. Now, everybody talk about the Lord called me to preach, the Lord called me to do this, and the Lord called me to do that. Well, let's see. This is in Revelation chapter 7. It says, and after these things, 7 and 1, after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 kingdoms of the earth, that the kingdoms should not blow up on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and sea, saying, don't hurt anything, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their forehead. Now, Yahweh is getting ready to pour his wrath upon the earth. This is why Paul told the people that Hebrews was going to be saved from all this wrath. So, an angel stood up, and seal, got ready to seal the servants, all of God's servants in their forehead. Now, in verse 4 it said, and I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. These are God's servants. The children of Israel wrote the whole book. The children of Israel were the apostles. They went and taught the nation. Then the nation destroyed our people and put us in captivity, and Lucifer used the same book that our people wrote to teach all of this garbage that they got upon the earth. And the Christian church is the #1 banker every Monday morning. That's what they've always been about. They've always been about money and power. If you don't believe it, go back and read the history of the bloody crusades that they fought over there in Europe. And then they brought that mess right on over here with them. And now they're trying to take it over in the Middle East. Now, I'm going to go in Revelations 14 and read some things out of Revelations 14 here. This is Revelations 14:1. It says, and I looked, and behold, a lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 having his father's name written in their forehead. That's who's going to be with the Messiah, his own people. Once the Messiah comes and set up a governmental system, it already told you every man is going to live in his own land, and every man is going to live among his own people. Now, that's what the scripture has to say. But see, we going up to heaven ain't mentioned no place in this Bible. It don't say no place in this Bible that you are going to heaven. Now, people read different things. Say we're going to be caught up in the air with the Messiah and meet him in the air, and we're going to forever be with him. But see, and then they say, but see, that means we're going to heaven. No, it didn't say. It said you're going to be caught up in the air. Don't put no words in it. But when you go into Zechariah 14, Zechariah 14 told you that the Messiah is coming right back to the Mount of Olives, the same place he left from. The Messiah is coming here to set up a governmental system and take this power back from these Gentiles and so forth before they destroy us, his holy people. And all of the covenants was made with our people. Hebrews 8th chapter tell you that the new covenant was made with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. Wasn't no covenant made with no other people. The Gentiles was grafted into our tree, but what they managed to do was cut down the tree and they took over. I got one more verse here I want to read out of this. It says, these were they, this is verse 4. These were they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goes. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto God and the Lamb. You can't get around that. I think we got a caller on the line. Go ahead, caller, you're in there. Go ahead, caller.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I hear you. Go ahead and say what you got to say, bro.
Okay, are we gonna be over here in the 3.5 years
Of the Great Tribulation period? The 3.5 years of Great Tribulation?
Yes.
No, we're not going to be here over here at that time, brother. What you do is you get a chance to, if you got a pencil, write this down here. Read Isaiah 13, Isaiah 47, Jeremiah chapter 50, and Jeremiah 51. America, she's going to be the first one to go. See, Yahweh has to get everybody back over there in Europe to set up that New World Order, which is the EU, that they're sitting up over there now, and that's the bringing in of Revelation chapter 13. And it tells you in the prophet Isaiah, I think it is, it might be Jeremiah, that said a rumor is going to go forth 1 year, then next year a rumor, and violence in the land, and ruler against ruler. And it's during that time, it's said that every man is going to return back to his own land, and every man is going to return back to his own people. But let me read something to you that's going to take place. See, Yahweh has already taken this, made this thing the way that he wanted, so that when he get us out of here, we have a place of refuge. Because these Gentiles getting ready to kill us off, lock, stock, and barrel. If you don't think so, look at who all they got in these jails. And they already told us in the King Alpha plan that that's the reason why they open up these prisons, close these military bases, so that they can put these people out of these jails into the military bases, brother. Now, we talking about 35,000, 40,000 people in one place at a time now. So then we can understand. And this is going to be happening all over the earth. This is why Christ said he's going to have to come and open up the prisoners. But let me read something to you that Yahweh had to say was going to take place when this trouble come upon us and people started getting out of here. Remember, we ain't got nowhere to go now. Okay. I say, ain't no Africans want us in their land. That ethnic cleansing over there in Africa now is about us, between us and those Africans when you get right back down to it. This is in, my brother, this is in Ezekiel chapter 20. I know we got another call on the line. Give me another minute. Let me get this brother here squared away and I get to you. This is in Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 33. It says, As I live, saith the Adonai Elohim, surely with the mighty hand and with the stretched out arm and with fury poured out will I rule over you. And I will bring you out from the people and gather you out of the countries wherein you are scattered with the mighty hand and with the stretched out arm and with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I speak with you face to face. And like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness in the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, said the Adonai Elohim. And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you under the bonds of the covenant. And I will purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me. I will bring them out forth out of the country where they sojourn, but I'm going to purge them out, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel. So Yahweh has already got this set up, brother. If nations destroy us, then all of Yahweh's word will be a lie, and everything will disappear. Everything will burn up and disappear because it's impossible for the God of Israel to lie. He told us we'd be here 400 years. When you go back and see when the first slaves came over here, we got about 6 more years in this country. And when you look and see the things that's happening in this country to our people, you can very well see we're in big trouble. We're in big trouble. Okay. I think we got another call on the line. Go ahead, caller.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Earlier you mentioned something that was written in First Thessalonians, the 4th chapter, where most Christians believe that they're going off to heaven when they die. But as you mentioned before, there's nowhere written in the book that people are going off to heaven.
Right.
But the next question they ask is what happens when you die? And if you don't mind responding to that, I appreciate it. I'll hang up with this second invite.
Okay, my brother, I appreciate that question. Now, what you have to do is, see, a man has been taught that he's body, spirit, and soul, that she's 3 in 1. But Moses told you, look at this. When Yahweh breathed the breath of life into Adam's nostrils, Adam became what? A living soul. See? Moses told you that the body is the soul. Okay? Now, as far as spirit is concerned, Yahweh, you can't show me no place in the Bible except when we get into the New Testament, or what they call the New Testament, where man was given a spirit. When you get in the book of Job and read the book of Job, Job told you that the breath is what man called a spirit. And brother, let me tell you something. If you take that breath, you're in big trouble. You're in big trouble if you can't breathe. You're going to die. Well, see, that's what Job said that the spirit was. Now, you got to understand, you have to put the prophecies together. It's like Yahweh said, I don't do anything till I tell my servants the prophets first. Now, in Thessalonians, when Paul told the people we're going to meet the Lord in the air and we're going to forever be with the Lord, he didn't say we was going to heaven. But let me read something to you. Now, remember that when the Messiah was, when he ascended, the angel Gabriel told the apostles, say, you men of Galilee, why are you standing here gazing into heaven? The same way he left is the same way he's going to come back. And he's coming back to the same place that he left from, which is the Mount of Olives. Now, everybody talking about the day of the Lord. This is what we're talking about. But let me go and read to you what Zechariah has to say. See, people like to talk. People like to talk, but they can't prove that jump, see? Because you have to go back into the old to prove the new. The new may have 2 verses about a thing, and people take it all out of context. But when you go back into the prophets, one prophet may have 2 whole chapters on it. Another one may have 10 chapters on it to make sure that you get the right message. This is why them Christians told you to stay out of the Old Testament. If you don't read the Old, it's one story. They took a history book and taught us religion out of it, and we went for it, so we won't go back and read. And like Yahweh said, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, and white folks say, put it in a book. Black folks will never find it unless you put a whole lot of pictures in it. Let me go back in Zechariah 14, and let's deal with what's going to happen the day that the Messiah show up. This is Zechariah chapter 14 and verse 1. It says, behold, the day of the Lord comes, and your spoil shall be divided in the midst of you. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. He didn't say some of the nations. He said he's going to gather all the nations against Jerusalem. Now, why would all the nations on the earth be gathered together against Jerusalem? Okay. And the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Now, Zechariah got some of this. Isaiah got some of this. Joel has some of this. And Ezekiel have some of this. So you have to put all the story together. The scripture can't be broken. One piece will follow the other one. Once you are shown the keys to read this book. The keys to reading this book is built on 7 covenants. And all of those covenants was made with the Holy Seed. In Israel, our chosen people, was the inheritance of all those covenants. And you ask people, say, what nationality was the Messiah? Well, it don't make no difference with white. You got him as white boy, and the Bible tells me he was black. But he wasn't no African. How do you think they was able to take Christ when he was a baby and take him down in Egypt and hide him? Okay. Verse 3. Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations that when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west. And there shall be a very great valley. And half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south. So as the Messiah comes out of the clouds and the Messiah's come back and take this earth over before these Gentiles destroy it. See? And we see it's right on the verge of destruction right now. That's why the earth is fighting back. You see, when the Messiah comes, his feet, once he come out of the clouds, the dead in Christ is going to rise first, and they're going to rise up to meet him in the air. Then those that are alive and remain, they're going to rise up. But he's coming back down to this earth to do battle. This is why Zechariah told us, in that day, his feet is going to stand on the Mount of Olives. Guess what's going to be up there invading God's holy mountain? It's going to be all of these Christians and all of these Muslims and all of these other nations on the earth. That's who's going to be invading the city once they get this new world order set up. And that's what the EU is all about. Verse 5, and you shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach to Azal. Azal is 20 miles away. So when the Messiah's feet stand on the Mount of Olives, that Mount of Olives is going to bust in half, and half of it is going to move 20 miles away to create that great valley where he's going to bring all them armies down there and kill them off down there in the valley. They done shed blood all over the earth. Y'all, we're going to shed their blood right down in the valley of Megiddo. Yes, you shall flee like as you fled from before the earthquake in the days of Messiah, Uzziah, king of Yehuda. And Yahweh my Elohim shall come, and all the saints with him. He's coming with all of the saints with him, the one that met him in the air. People saying everybody going to heaven, but you get back in the book of Revelation and read and see who you saw in heaven. The one with 24 angels, 24 elders saw in heaven, seen in heaven. And they said they're going to reign as kings on the earth. And it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor night, but it shall be one day which shall be known unto the Lord, not day nor night, but it shall come to pass that at evening time it shall be light. And the Lord shall be king over all the earth. And that day shall there be one Lord, and his name one. Now that's what the prophet's got to say. I think we got another call on the air. Go ahead, caller. You on the air, caller? Hello?
Okay.
Pardon me?
Hello?
Yeah. Go ahead.
When will Lucifer be thrown out?
Lucifer will be thrown out of heaven when the sixth seal is open. We're in the fifth seal now. And when Lucifer gets thrown out of heaven, that's when the 3.5 years of great tribulation is going to begin upon our people once Lucifer is thrown out. And to show you that, what I like to do is go into Revelations 12, and we can pick up that war in Revelations 12. It says, Revelations 12, and I want to pick this up at verse 7. It says, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought with his angels and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast into the earth, and his angels cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our Elohim, and the power of his Messiah. For the accuser of our brother is cast down, which accused them before God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. You got to die for something, so you might as well get your cause for it, because it's coming. If them skinheads don't kill you, the Messiah gonna kill you when he comes, unless you do what he says do. verse 12. Therefore rejoice, you heavens, and you that dwell in them. Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knows that he have but a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman that brought forth the man-child. Well, the children of Israel was the woman that brought forth the Messiah. So that's who Lucifer's been persecuting. He's been persecuting us forever. Why do you think that we the only people on earth that's in captivity? Huh? Why do you think we the only people on earth don't own a piece of land on earth nowhere? And don't tell me you own your house, because the United States government claims eminent domain. They can take your house and give you fair market value and make a parking lot out of your house. So don't tell me that. And according to the Constitution of the United States, remember, you're only 3/5 of a human being anyway. Verse 14. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into a place where she is nourished for time and times and half time from the face of the serpent. So it's talking about once America falls and Yahweh get us out into the wilderness. That's what I was reading about in Ezekiel 20 and starting at verse 33. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that she might cause her to be carried away by the flood. But let's look at that. Now, scientists already telling you that it's a 700-mile strip on the west coast that is going to slide off into the Pacific, because the Moors fault is replacing the San Andreas fault. Now, when you talk about once we get out of here and that happens, you can very well see the tsunami that it's going to cause. Well, that's Lucifer destroying America and then trying to destroy the 3 tribes over here, Benjamin, Judah, and Levi. Levi was the priest, and Judah was the princes and the king. So Lucifer is trying to destroy us. That's why I tell you, and he cast out water out of his mouth after the flood and caused this tsunami. Now check this out. It says, verse 16. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was angry with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Yahshua HaMashiach. The only people that on the earth that Lucifer is really, really making war with is us. Why do you think we over here as captives and don't know who we are? We claiming we Africans, but how many of us you know that's married to an African woman? Yeah, rattle that one around. You know, people keep their women to themselves and so forth, everybody but us, because we ain't got no control over Sapphire. Master got control over Sapphire, you see. And our women do just what they want to do, and you know it's done happen. It's dividing our houses like 40 going north. Brothers that didn't even start, it's affecting us so much, brothers that even start dealing with other brothers instead of dealing with women, you know, running around, a bunch of faggots running around, a bunch of lesbians running around here in the street, and go to our schools, man. They're being turned out in our schools. We need to wake up and see what's going on since we integrated. Yahweh has always separated us from other people. And when Lucifer gets thrown out of heaven, we're going to have the worst problem we ever had. And to show you that, let me go into Revelation 13. Revelation 13 is about the last empire that's going to be set up on the earth. But let me read some excerpts out of here of what they're going to do once they get set up. It says, and there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. This is Revelation 13 and verse 5. And power was given unto him to continue 3.5 years during the Great Tribulation period. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given unto him over all kindreds and all tongues and all nations. Well, what we're talking about is the revival of the Holy Roman Empire. Daniel told us it was going to be revived. John the Revelator told us it was going to be revived. The prophets told us what they was going to do and what was going to happen to them. But see, the thing of it is, we don't want to know these things. See, we don't want to do nothing but go to church and listen to that junk that they teach y'all in church that they call religion. And Yahweh didn't say get religion. He said get salvation. See? I remember when the preachers were the poorest folks in town. See? But now, they're almost the richest folks in town. Driving these $500,000 cars, living in these mansions and everything, and telling us, well, you know, you got to plant that seed. That seed, you put in $1, Yahweh going to give you $7 back, you know. But the more you give, the more you're going to get back. And our people buying that lie. They buying that lie. We're suffering more and more and more politically and spiritually, but yet and still, we still buy those lies. So you have to be very, very careful as to what's going on. And another thing you might want to look up, see that's going on too. In Europe now, I understand these folks over here came from Europe, okay? They're immigrants too. And in Europe, they already got it set up to where in 2008, they're going to issue their national ID card. And it tells you no man is going to be able to buy or sell unless you have that card. And the same thing America is going to be has been trying to get off into with that ID card. But she got so much junk going on over in the country with all these other folks that came over here and everybody trying to practice their own culture and so forth. So she can't quite get it going. So in her reverie, I should say, what they're going to do is this. They're going to destroy it. The Bible told you that Russia is going to destroy in 1 hour, 1 day. And Nikita Khrushchev, when he was Prime Minister of Russia, he told President Eisenhower, we're going to bury you. It's given to us by prophecy. But why all these things coming about? Simply because of us, our people. Every nation that has fallen on the earth, that ruled the whole earth, all the big powers that has fallen, if you look back in their history, they had the tribes of Benjamin, Judah, and Levi as their slaves. And once Yahweh brought them out of there, they was never a major player on the world scene again. It happened to Egypt, it happened to Iraq, it happened to Greece, and it happened to almighty Rome. The Romans trying to put this thing back together, and guess what? We are the prize. Once again, my name is Yaakov ben Israel, and I'm the elder priest of the Culture Center of the New Covenant Congregation of Israel. We're located at 3901A Covington Highway in Decatur, Georgia. We have classes on Saturday at 1 o'clock, Sunday morning at 11:30. We have a prophecy class. On Tuesday night, we have a Bible class, and on Thursday night, we have a class for sisters only. Come by, write your questions down, come down, bring your preacher, and bring your questions, and let's sit down and reason like brothers and sisters. Peace, and Yahweh be with you all.